Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Legends of Tomorrow episode 5 video. Good old-fashioned prison break. Just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet. I'll talk about the really cool stuff that Stephen Amell was posting today at the end of this. There weren't any crazy Easter eggs in this episode, it was just a continuation of last week's episode. They did reference a lot of Firestorm stuff that happened during the Flash, so there's a lot of internal Easter eggs for Season 1 Flash, Season 2 Flash stuff. So I'll explain as we go along. Top 5 WTF, here we go. Cisco guest stars on The Flash, only it's evil Cisco. No wait, he's been drugged. It's Valentina Vostok masquerading as Mind Palace Cisco. I love how diabolical she got to be in this episode. She was more fun than Vandal Savage, who is now sporting this Cro-Magnon hair look, which I think honors the origins of the character in the comic books, even though the TV show has changed him to kind of intertwine him with the Hawkman, Hawkgirl origin stories. But super awesome, Starlab shout out. High fives to Cisco. I'd actually totally forgotten that he was going to guest star, and they were talking about it this morning. I didn't know what it would look like given what is happening on The Flash right now with the last 2 episodes. I'm like, is he going to have the energy to go help the Legends of Tomorrow people? But turns out the explanation is that it's Mind Palace Cisco. Number 4 WTF, not our first prison break. Nice Easter egg for that TV show because of Captain Cold and Heatwave's characters. They're actually doing a new miniseries for that, just in the same way they did new X-Files episodes with the original cast, that has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on in this episode. That's just the writers winking at you from behind the camera. On to my number 3 WTF. Jax uses the Ronnie Raymond trick to communicate with Firestorm. If you don't remember The Flash Season 1, Martin Stein was captured by General Eiling in order to communicate with them because of their link. Ronnie was able to carve a message into his arm that showed up on Stein's arm so that he could see that they were coming to get him. I also love the way he casually shades Valentina Vostok with the fall of communism, as if it's Martin Stein versus communism. Hate to break it to you, 1991, things not going so hot for the USSR. And it was really cool seeing Valentina force her way into the Matrix. And after Stein forced his way out and she turned blue, if you remember, that happened to Martin Stein at the beginning of Season 1 after Ronnie died. He needed someone else to stabilize the Matrix. That was why they went and found Jax. So if they hadn't have found Jax in time, that same thing would have happened to Martin Stein. He would have gone nuclear. Number 2 WTF, Heatwave and the Atom team up. I totally love their scenes together. Now Heatwave actually respects Ray. He doesn't think he's a total douchebag because he took that beating for him. But the fight in the prison yard was so funny. Put your hand down, then he just swipes that guy's lighter and stares at it while Ray gets his ass beat. Too bad he ended up spoiling Rocky IV for that Soviet torturer. Because this is taking place in the 80s, that movie isn't too far off. And finally, my number 1 WTF, Crash Landing in Star City 2046. Stephen Amell was posting these pictures from that episode. That's next week's episode. He was posting these pictures earlier today. I didn't know if we get to see it by the end of this episode, but I like the way at the end of this week's episode how they roll into next week's episode with the WTF reveal of Connor Hawke. Most of you guessed who this was. Connor Hawke on the TV show is just someone who is inspired to pick up the mantle of the Green Arrow after Oliver Queen dies. Now, because Stephen Amell was posting pictures of himself facing Deathstroke, yes, this is Deathstroke of the future. We'll have to talk about that next week. There's a whole bunch of questions I have about them using that character, especially with what's going on with Suicide Squad. But just a couple points of interest as you're scanning around the rubble of Star City. You look up and you see that the Palmer Tower, formerly the Queen Industries Tower, is now the Smoke Tower. So we have to find out what happened with that. We have to find out what happened to Oliver and his Van Dyke here, what his role in this is now. Maybe he's gone to ground. Maybe it's like a Batman Beyond situation where he's still alive, but he's operating from the shadows, and a younger person steps up to take the mantle. But if you remember, there have been a couple times during the show's run so far, the last couple of episodes, that the Legends people have derped and changed the future for the worse. There was the second episode, and then there was the Firestorm WTF. Here's what 2016 looks like with Soviet firestorms flying all over the globe. But less talking, more drinking. Let me know what your favorite part of the episode was. Watching Valentina go nuclear. I'm going to go ahead and take a wild stab in the dark and say Connor Hawke WTF at the end is probably everyone's favorite moment. But just a reminder, in case you guys didn't know, next week, King Freaking Shark on The Flash Tuesday night. Wednesday night is going to be Vixen on Arrow. Thursday night is going to be this episode with Connor Hawke and old Oliver Queen with the Van Dyke, Revenge of the Van Dyke. It looks like he's not quite as old as he is during Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns, but that was one-armed Oliver Queen. He's going to be one-armed Oliver Queen in this episode. I know it doesn't look that way, but it seems like he has a bionic arm. Totally loving the Captain Cold Canary thing they have going on. I love their scenes together. They have a nice energy. The way Heatwave is baking some of the crazy into the Atom character. Of all the characters in the show, half of them are super crazy, the other half are super mellow. I really love when the crazy ones make the mellow ones a little bit crazier. Definitely felt like Victor Garber won the episode in terms of acting. If Captain Cold won last week's episode, just amazing performance from Whitworth Miller, then Victor Garber won this week's episode. Sorry, honey, you're just on the wrong side of history. So what I'm going to do next is a DC movie video. It'll either be Batman v Superman or Suicide Squad. Feel free to leave any requests that you guys want in the comments. And actually, that reminds me, congratulations to this week's Reverse Flash giveaway winner. Zim Sanders, be sure to private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. So Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman stuff coming up. While you guys wait for that stuff to post, you can click here for my Arrow and Flash videos from this week, and you can click here to learn all about the Deadpool sequel, Deadpool and Cable, breaking the taco space-time continuum. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.